podcast at the moment, and like earlier on, I started getting into talking about feminist theory, but then the podcast has gone on to be, since then, quite stupid. You know, like descended. So I thought, so I was a bit nervous about ringing you because obviously I know you're a feminist. I know you're a very respected writer. I'm very concerned that what if I've not got a good track record of, I say stupid stuff because of my prioritisation of humour over pretty much all else.
Look, so there's this massive myth that feminists aren't funny, or that feminism is a very, very serious thing. And of course it's a serious thing. But, I mean, it's important to have silly stuff too. That's why you see all these amazing memes online. I mean, I think you know, as somebody, because you're a comedian, but you're also a political person, right? You know that this stuff, you can't just lay it all out and be very, very grim about everything, even if stuff is incredibly grim, as it is right now with everything that's happened in the UK in the election, right?
Yeah.
It's So yeah, and obviously with the track record and stuff, I think I was saying to your producer before I came on the show, I'm a massive, massive fan of people being allowed to learn and grow and change, right? Whatever age they are. And I think it's really, really positive that you're doing this kind of thing on your show now and bringing in. What made you want to bring it into the podcast this time?
I think that that most of my sexism was just inadvertent and cultural, like the sort of the references and the kind of language I think are cultural, and the promiscuity and the implications of promiscuity, of like objectification and not valuing the experience for other people, which in my case would be women. That just weren't really on my agenda. And it's not making excuses. Well, it is making excuses. Here are those excuses. Like that I learned about sex through porn. That was like, I didn't have any, I can't remember any other education around sex other than pornography. And I can't and most of my validation about masculinity came from confidence and sort of a conquistadorial attitude towards women. So it was like it was in my identity before I kind of had an adult perspective that being good with women and all of that was sort of part of it. But one of the things that women have said to me is that even like through my inadvertent sexism and sort of casual sort of idiomatic sexism, what I've not ever had is misogyny, because I don't think I have that ingredient. I don't think I have at my essence a kind of women. I think I've definitely been sexist and am well in the sort of sexist arena, but like misogyny, I think there's an important distinction there. Is there?
Yeah. Well, misogyny is when you hate women, and it's hating women from the core of you. And I don't think you're that kind of person, although a lot of people, that kind of stuff can be casual as well. I think it's really important what you're saying, because when you're a feminist and you're out there, writing about gender, obviously it's very hard and you get a lot of attacks. And one of the first things people say to you is, well, do you hate men? Do you hate men? And it's it gets almost boring, because you have to start every time saying, no, we don't hate men, because so much, and I think it kind of applies to other kinds of politics too. Most of the people who make mistakes and hurt other people, and they don't mean to. It's stuff that you learn from culture, like you say. And most guys, even guys who are, hugely sexist, they don't do that because they don't go out, to a bar thinking, oh, I'm going to be really sexist tonight, and that's going to be a lot of fun. They do that because they perform it for other guys, because it's how their sense of self comes through, their sense of what it means to be a good man and a good person. And it's I think it's really important to say that to guys. And it's not enough just to say, it's not about not hating men, it's about understanding and saying, look, this stuff
I
is
think
really,
in a
really
lot
hard
of
to get through. Yeah.
In a lot of cultural milieus, identification with like your group is about the exclusion of the other. Even on a very basic, the main thing about being an Arsenal fan might be not liking Spurs, and a group of men, an integral part of their identity is like, often what you'll notice is we're not gay and we have an accepted attitude towards women. You notice that those sort of cultural codes run quite deep. But I think you said an important thing at the bit. sort of a casual homophobia and objectification of women.
It all goes together. It performs for other guys and other straight guys. It's like, and this is what the internet does actually, is it shows you, you have men talking to themselves as they always have, like in a male-only space or down in the pub, and then suddenly women are listening and they can hear what has been a quite normal way of talking, and then we're going, oh, hang on, this is not right at all. But anyway, go on. Sorry, I interrupted.
I think it's an interesting time, actually. I'm thinking about what you just said then about male-only spaces. It's probably an interesting time to be a man, because I think like gender identity politics has been changing since the 60s, and particularly for, I think, sort of thing for working class and lower middle class men. There's like this attack on their values, their identity, that's not coming primarily from feminism, but that's a sort of an observable component, a very sort of visible aspect. The same way as you might find that immigrants would bear the brunt for economic conditions that are not really about immigration. That it seems to be sort of visible emblems tend to be what define issues as opposed to their essential causes.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
There's some bloody good stuff coming up.
Yeah, what's important as well? You touched on something very important here. I've been reading up on this lately, and in times of economic crisis and when stuff is very, very hard and people find it hard to get work and they're poorer, you find that gender identity and like performing being a man and performing being a woman becomes even more important. And I think for guys as well, in a time when it's harder, being a man is also associated with having a good job, having loads of money, and if that kind of stuff is much harder to come by, then all the other stuff becomes much more important, right?
Yes, I think that Laurie, you and I should carry on talking, because this has been I've really had to sober up to have this chat. Before, like literally 5 seconds before we were talking, I was acting like some giddy jerk on an escalating whirl of loopy adolescent male behaviour. But there's lots of things for us to talk about. One of the continual themes that we talk about on this show is how increasingly our cultural life is becoming a kind of detached facsimile of reality, what it is to be a man, what it is to be in public space, what it is to participate in politics. One of the examples that I used in a previous show was that David Cameron's speech that he gave on the steps of Number 10 on winning the election. If what he said on that step was true, then everything would be fine. But we're engaged in a cultural dialogue where we, the people that watch that speech, know that it isn't true what he's saying. We know, we don't expect it to be true anymore. And the defeated party leaders, after they'd resigned, looked like they'd plugged once more into humanity, once more into reality. That sort of cultural life is a sort of a kind of there's a complicity in that illusion. Like, we all accept that politics is bollocks, that what people say is bollocks, that this, and I think that relates to what you're saying, is like, this is the accepted identity of a man, this is the accepted identity of a woman, and as those things change, it kind of, some people can really grip on to like, no, this is what being a man is, and this is like how we define it.
You kind of hold on to it even harder. I tell you, a really interesting thing happened to me lately. So I grew up with sisters. I don't have any brothers, and I have close male friends, but in my close family I don't have any men. And I was wondering about a lot of stuff about masculinity, because guys write to me all the time, men and boys, and obviously I get all the horrible stuff as well, the death threats, rape threats, but I also get guys write to me and email me saying, sometimes it's funny, they almost say like, I think I'm becoming a feminist, what do I, it's almost like you might write to an agony aunt saying, I've got this horrible rash, will it go away? No, it will never go away. But so I put up a survey, and I asked, if you want I promise I won't give you details or, talk about it, just if you want to answer some of these questions about being a guy and, what it means to you, maybe we could talk about it. So I put this survey up, and I was thinking maybe I'd get, 20 responses. But it's not scientific, it's just on my Twitter. And I got 1,000 responses within the first 2 days. I had to, massively upgrade the survey. People want to talk about this stuff. But between what you're saying, like the facsimile of what it means to be a man, and people's actual lived experience and lived truth, there is a huge gap, and there's so much that guys, I think, really want to be able to express. Not all of them, obviously, but I think a lot of people really want to be able to talk about it honestly and be kind of kinder and more empathetic.
We should continue this conversation, Laurie Penny. When you listen to this podcast, because I think we've got a lot of things in common, more than I imagined we would, because I've read loads of your stuff and I admire a lot of it, but sometimes not, because sometimes it's a direct attack on me. Those bits I've never liked. But like mostly I think I'm only mucking around, but mostly I think your stuff's really wicked. When you listen to this podcast, try and ignore the bits that are either side of this glimmering jewel of conscientious debate, because it's entrenched in the sort of the mud of adolescent minds. But thank you. Let's stay in touch and become friends. I'll get your I'll get in touch with you and we can continue to talk.
You seem like a really nice person.
Deep down, I'm all right. What we should do is we'll continue to communicate and we'll get in touch with you on this show every time we career wildly into the territory of mindless or casual sexism, and we can have you as a person. You can somewhat police this in your spare time. We'll just ring you up and say,
I don't want to be any kind of police. No police.
No, not in these conservative times, Laurie. But I'll use the word merely as a verb. All right then. Thanks a lot. Cheers, Laurie. Thanks a lot, mate. Thank you for coming on. We'll be in touch. Cheers. Thank you. Well, Matt, I'm going to thank you mostly for not putting a jingle on at any point during it.
There was no point where it felt right, was there? Really?
There was no point. There were bits like, I mean, think of the jokes that you have to, you just have to let go, because it's like for me, because I think for me it's sort of too tentative, because I sort of feel like, it's not like I'm Alan Carr. You know what I mean? Where I can sort of wade in and be cheeky. I'm too sort of strongly identified with a kind of sort of casual sexism, and a sort of like, really everything she's saying, I agree with on an actual level, comedically.
No, it's a minefield for you, isn't it? So you have to go, hang on. So you have to, if you can't use your comic persona, which is a bit like, baldy and whatever, then you think, it shuts you down a bit. But also, it's not like she was in the studio and listened to the show before, right? So it felt like the giddy silliness. Then you've called her up. It would have been a bit off if I'd have played jingles and we'd have mucked about and stuff.
It would have been mad. I mean,
she doesn't know what the tone
to
of
Kai, the bloody Canadian geezer that was here at the top.
I know.
I mean, doing it to sort of a respected bloody feminist
he was in the room,
writer.
Yeah, but
he's not in the room now. He's sat in the corridor crying his eyes out. He looks like someone's just told him that Zayn's left One Direction, which has also bloody happened. All right, so G, now will you be able to somehow summarise a vacillating show of myriad aspects that began giddy and euphoric and ended with an interesting debate on postmodernism and gender identity? Can you somehow put that in a poem, and then we'll think about who we're going to award this poem?
Whoa!
Very clearly,
I didn't catch that last bit. I just didn't catch any of that last bit, right? Okay, this poem's called...
That's the wrong attitude.
He hates feminists.
Why are you saying that?
Because you said I didn't catch that.
You're a feminist hater.
No, he didn't mean the call. He meant the last bit you said.
This poem's called Mama's...
Women are bitches.
You are Jade.
Oh, my God. So it's not me that says that.
Now I'm feeling we're being judged by her, right?
Yeah, but he's put us all on edge.
You're being judged.
Women are not our enemies. They're not judging us. They are our sisters.
Matt's got sisters. I'm an only child. Is that going to help?
Okay then, right. This poem is called Mama Say. There's a thin line between the actual and the possible, on how patriarchal we are or on what might be probable. Our truths and our falsehoods are defined by corporate necessity. But when did our earth become concrete, giving our chocolate a cardboard energy? But we pray to find good views, as the situationists accuse. Yet we're drifting with no agenda, and effective fallacy seeking clues. Mother Nature's chord progression explores our hidden feminist heart, to test a line between who we need to be and who they say we are.
Woo! That was actually good, G. You actually done well.
Men can be gentle.
We're not idiots. We can do it. We
listen.
can do it, guys. Well done, G. Who should we award that poem to? I mean, it's quite obvious, isn't it, what we should do?
It's got to be.
Give it to Laurie Penny. Us men reaching out across the gender divide, showing a willingness to grow.
Sending a poem to a woman.
Trying to understand.
That's how to end sexism right there.
A poem we've all signed.
We're going to be better men, us three, not you so much, Matt.
We need to be,
I think we're going to try.
Don't need to get better.
No, we do.
No, we do.
Yeah. We're going to improve. We're going to be a bit less bloody... What
about in adverts when there's a man going, I can't use the washing machine, and there's a woman going...
What about in adverts?
No, there's a woman going...
Real, is it?
Well, this idiot can't do it. Yeah, but it's sexist to us.
No, but we've got to police ourselves, at least.
I know. That doesn't bother me, I think.
But who's policing the police cells? All right, let's wrap this fucking thing up. I think we've all tried our hardest and it's time to go to bed.
Brought to you by Audio Boom.